Yes, folks, here we go. It is the post-match pint after Nice 1, Celtic 1. It's a day of firsts. We've got the first ever live post-match pint, the first Celtic game in 4 months and 9 days, but who was counting? And Declan, is that the first haircut in about 4 months as well?
First haircut. We're back. I'm back underneath all that hair.
Aye, fair to say life's getting back to normal with Celtic back, boys. Tonight, Declan, then, think about how we started the game. Do you think that was pretty close to our full strength 11?
I think so, with the players we've got at the disposal just now. And probably personally, I would have Cham in before Christie. There was flashes in Cham's excellence in that second half. I'd probably have Cham in there before. But at this point in time, I'd probably say maybe Hatem El-Hamid come and go with Jeremy Frimpong. But I would say that's our full strength 11, aye. Aye,
absolutely. It was a strong team to start, and I think that team got 60 minutes as well. Tells you that Neil Lennon wants to get minutes in those guys' legs. Kenny, I thought the start to the game was very good. I thought the intensity was good, and we obviously had that goal early on.
Yeah, I mean, the worry with these games is you come out and you look rusty and things are a bit sluggish. And we're in an unusual situation where our first pre-season game, you're normally playing a really lowly side, and you've got 6 weeks or something to the first game of the season. We can't afford to be sluggish at the moment. The league kicks off in 2 weeks. So it was great to see them come out and play at a high level. Their pressing game was there straight away. The crispness of their passing was there straight away. And they looked a wee bit shell-shocked. I think they'd maybe underestimated us in some way. I mean, they hadn't underestimated Edouard. It was like 5 or 6 of them were just flocking to Edouard, which imbalanced them and allowed our quality players to create openings. None more clear-cut than the goal, which... Look, we've all watched this game a long time. Given there was video analysis to support what they were doing, and given it took them what seemed like a lifetime to look at presumably stills and replays, in live play it was abundantly clear that the ball was sent through by their man. I don't even know if he was offside even. I'm beyond speech on that. I do not know how that happened. And that kind of disrupted our flow a wee bit, because we came right out the traps. Had that goal stood as it should, we could have been sitting here talking about a pretty comfortable victory. But look, overall, crisp stuff, I thought. They looked fit, they looked sharp, they looked organised, and they were a good outfit. They were 5th in League One last season. They spent a lot more money on us in the last couple of years, so I was pleased with it.
Aye, I was astounded. See with Edouard's goal, I seen it come off the defender. I didn't even know they were checking it. It took them so long.
No, I know.
And I couldn't believe that it changed the decision that it was offside, because again, we didn't get too many replays at the time. We had to wait to half time to get another few replays. But it's clearly a pass back. Like the Nice defenders came in and tackled Christie. It's broke through to Edouard. I did think live he was offside. So if it was Christie, the flag should have gone up. But there's no way he was offside, Declan.
No, I mean, you hear it in Michael Stewart's voice at half time as well. He's just totally bemused. The Nice player's the guy that plays it through. I don't know if it was actually for a foul. They're saying it was a Ryan Christie foul, but I just totally bemused. I don't know how that, it was chopped off, and as Kenny said, it did disrupt our flow a bit, because we were really good at the start, and I thought up until that point we were just excellent, and up until Nice scored we were excellent. I thought we just looked a really, really good fit side, which is really, really positive to take, considering we haven't played football in such a long time.
100% aye. Just the last bit in that offside, definitely the referee signalled for offside, so I don't think it was for the Christie foul. But anyway, Kenny, one of the real bright sparks for us was the left-hand side in that early period of the game. Some link-up between El Yunusi, McGregor and Taylor as well. We caused them no end of problems in that period down the left-hand side.
Yeah, and we need that, because I think if our weakest area at the moment is probably goalkeeper through a lack of recruitment, but last season it was probably left back. Ball and goalie was erratic. Mm-hmm. And when Taylor came in, he was okay, but I don't know if he's shown himself up to be a great deal more than okay. But he did tonight, and he was taking responsibility, and he needs to be more bold. He needs to, because I think he does have it. He can defend, he can put balls into the box, he's got a bit of skill on his feet as well. He can go by men. I think there is something in there, and it was good to see him start with that impetus this season, because it was lacking at times last season, and he's performed in the one area where we don't really have quality backup. We don't have anyone pushing him. But ball and goalie, I don't think it's at the level. Tonight again, he was a bit erratic looking. That's the one we need Taylor to perform at that level week in, week out. So it was pleasing to see that. And El Yunusi, you're going to get the class with him, and they could easily form a partnership down there. So that, I think, if you were talking about standout players, maybe Cham in the second half, but overall, man of the match was Taylor.
Yeah, I think Taylor did look bright. Ball and goal, as you say, a few loose passes when he came on. By the way, if you're just joining us live on this post-match pint, comment with your thoughts and questions on the game below. We'll try and pick some out and talk about them as we go on. Declan, Kenny touched on Scott Bain there. This is, if you like, his chance, I think, in these pre-season friendlies and maybe the qualifiers if we don't get another keeper in before that time, to really stake his claim. How do you think he looked tonight?
We had a decent save from a shot that was about 25, 30 yards out, but wasn't really tested a great deal. I thought as a friendly game, shots wise, it was poor and teams attacking. There was a lot of the play was in the middle of the park, so I don't really think you could judge much in Scott Bain's performance, but he just did the simple things well. Never made any daft mistakes, and the goal that we concede is just really poor defending on our part. It's not the goalkeeper's fault.
I think he did make a good save from a corner, Kenny, but it was that corner that he looked a bit nervy. He had that indecision where he let it go into the crossbar and it had actually taken a nick off Taylor, I think, on the way over, so it was a corner. So he did look a wee bit nervous at that time, but he recovered it well with that save afterwards.
He did, and there was almost like an intangible benefit for Fraser Forster because he had such a presence about him. You felt that the defenders around him benefited from his size and his stature. And Bain doesn't have that. And there were times where the whole back four looked a bit disjointed, which I thought was a bit unusual because those guys have played together before. I hope that that's not because Foster's gone and it's having a wider effect on the back line. He's a backup goalkeeper, Bain. He's not first choice Celtic class going into a 10-in-a-row season. He's done okay. He's had a reasonable Celtic career so far. He had a brilliant game at Ibrox that cemented that contract that he got. And he will be okay as a reserve. I don't think he's a complete bottler. He's been into the Lions Den at Ibrox at that time and he did well. So I don't want to be too hard on him, but he's just, we need someone superior in terms of their size and in terms of just the stature that they're going to bring to the back line.
Declan, in terms of chances, obviously we had the Edward goal ruled out. Christie had a good shot. Benitez saved it down to his right-hand side before half-time, but then 2 minutes after half-time, Ryan Christie has a glorious chance and you're just expecting him to put it away.
It's an absolute sitter. It's a total sitter. I think anybody would have probably betted their mortgage on Christie scoring that. I don't know how he's missed it, but again, he looked sharp and that was good to see. But it was also really good to see Klimala come on and get his goal because he looked really, really good in that interview the other day. He seems to have got his head screwed on. He spoke about getting bullied in training with Julian and wanting to bulk up, and that physicality showed when he took the ball off the goalkeeper and stuck it away as cool as you like. So that'll be good for his confidence.
I thought his interview yesterday was really telling. Actually, it was great to see him. He's talking about learning English and he's talking about bulking himself up in quarantine. If we think about Shved, he came in from a young guy from a foreign background, didn't speak the language, and he appears that he never attempted to settle in, and we've lost £2 million on him, and we don't have a substitute right winger even now. Whereas he's shown the complete opposite. So I've got high hopes for him. I thought that was a really telling, piece of media work from him yesterday, and I think there's something with him.
I'm impressed. I think you could tell his English, it was uncomfortable doing it, but you could tell he was also putting himself out there and he was willing to do it, and you can tell he wants to improve. And I'm hopeful, like when you think about players who have gone away in an off-season and bulked up, Ryan Christie's the first one that comes to mind in recent seasons where he put on something like 10 kilos in an off-season and he came back and he was just different class. So I think it's brilliant to see that sort of commitment to Klimala, like you say, Kenny, coming here, not speaking the language but knuckling down. He's obviously been in gym during the lockdown. And as you say, Declan, great pressure for El Hamed in the first place to pressure Nice into playing the ball back to the keeper, and then it's just persistence, and he capitalises on the goalkeeper's error and puts it away, and that'll do his confidence a world of good, eh?
It will do, and I think in these pre-season friendlies, when you've been out the team, you've not been a first-team regular, to get your chance and take it is something to give Neil Lennon to question his choices up front, because if we do revert back to the 3-5-2, at the current situation, it'll be Klimala in there, because we don't know what the score is with Griffiths at this point in time. So I'll do Griffiths the world of good too, because I know his place isn't cemented in that team and there's somebody else there looking to get in, so it can only do the other two forwards the world of good. Yeah,
absolutely. Kenny, we went to 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, a back four. Obviously Edward was up front on his own to begin with, and then Klimala came on. Given the situation with Griffiths, do you think we'll go into these qualifiers in that in that formation, or do you think we'll try and work a 3-5-2?
I think it's a risky thing to do to try and work the 3-5-2. They're not going. I think they're just not going to have enough time. I mean, a couple of friendlies and we're straight into it. We've got 8 games in August, even beside the 2 qualifiers. We'll get 6 league games over the course of 3.5 weeks. So I think his hand was maybe forced tonight in playing one up front, because it takes time to build a relationship with a striker. Griffiths and Eddie took a bit of time to knit a relationship together. Klimala and Eddie have never even set foot in the same park. They still haven't. So it's very difficult, I think, to see a route to them firing on all cylinders together in a 3-5-2 over this course of the next few days. I think that could happen long term, and I'd love to see that happen long term, because I think 3-5-2, certainly domestically, that's where we get. I mean, we broke goal scoring records doing that last season, so why would you not want to explore that again? But look, I think hopefully Griffiths is going to get back in some sort of shape. Even the problem is, even if he does get back to a fully flying Lee Griffiths, it's not going to be early August. So the damage is done in that respect, that we're already going into crucial games without him. So yeah, I think almost by default we'll be going with one up front for the next, for the first 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, Declan, and in terms of those qualifiers, I want to ask both of you actually, just to get a gauge of where you both think. One leg, is that a risk for us?
The 3-5-2 might be a risk in a one-legged scenario, as in getting caught out at the back, playing the free at the back. But if the games are at Celtic Park, that's a big pitch. Certainly the early rounds of qualifiers, if we want to go back to that, I don't see why not. But I think, as Kenny says, stick to the tried and tested in these. But we know that formation works for us, and just stick with that. And I think the team that started tonight will probably be the team that will see us through the qualifiers, give or take, in Cham and Hatem El Hamed.
Kenny, there's definitely an element of risk with those one-legged ties, isn't there?
Yeah, the thought of it just makes my heart palpitate even now. I mean, you could end up with 3 away games, and there's 30-40 million pounds on the line, and it's just so risky. Ironically, the last 2 times we've been put out the Champions League qualifiers is because of our home contribution. We blew it against Cluj at home, and we blew it against AEK Athens at home. So I don't know. Maybe it being away from home in an empty stadium isn't going to be an absolute nightmare situation as it normally would. I really don't know, but I'm dreading it. I have to say, I just hope we get the luck of the draw. And I think we're going to be seeded right through to the playoffs unless something really unusual happens in the Swiss League. But yeah, who knows? We'd have thought we'd have qualified the last 2 years and we didn't even get to the playoffs. So we just need to cross our fingers and hope for a good draw, and anything can happen in a one-off game.
Absolutely, Declan. Back to tonight, we've seen the usual in friendlies, the 60-minute mark. As I say, that full-strength team, I think we made 11 changes, changed the whole team. You've touched on the Cham already. Did anybody else stand out for you? There's a few mentions in the comments here for young Karamoko Dembele.
I thought Karamoko and Robertson linked up really well. It was good to see Soro get minutes in the park. It's good to see Bolingoli return back to the team. I've not seen him for a long time. And just kind of even Welsh to come back on. There's sort of real good core group of young players there. And we spoke last week about the squad being really important to us, especially in the month of August with the amount of games we've got. And it's good to know that there is young players there that will come in and can do a job. I mean, these guys look comfortable when they do come into the team, and if they are called upon, Henderson was another player I thought looked good when he came on, looked sharp, as well as Klimala, who I've mentioned. So I think there's good positives to take from tonight, and the guys that had that last half hour looked okay. They didn't look out of place, so a lot of good positives.
I think on Karamoko's deal actually runs out at the end of this season. He was only given a 2.5 year deal, so it's almost pointless giving him that deal if I'm not going to try and bleed him in this season. That must have been part of the plan. I think the duration of his deal was capped by some rule, so maybe they'll try and give him a new one. But we don't have a substitute right winger. Schwed is gone. You could an argument that Frimpong's a sort of auxiliary wing player, but we don't have. No, James Forrest cannot play 64 games without a winter break. So who plays right wing? I think we need to try and get Karamoko involved pretty quickly. And based on tonight's showing, that would be a good idea, because my God, he's got some amount of talent, and he's now bigger. He's physically bigger than he was, and he's growing all the time. So he's one I think that's actually particularly important to Blood.
I think he's he's got so much potential. I think everybody is just dying to see him get a chance. We know that he's young, but as you say, growing all the time. He'll be maturing physically, and you see his footwork is frightening, absolutely frightening. So he is one I'd love to see get a chance. I don't know if we're looking for wingers. You've mentioned it there, Kenny. Forrest can't play 60 odd games this season without a winter break. He just can't do it. We know he's been putting up good numbers these past few seasons, but there's no way he can play that amount of games without somebody to give him a wee bit of rest. So don't know if it's going to be Dembele. I'd like to see him a lot more though. We can't read too much into these games, these friendly games. Obviously, it's all about fitness, Kenny. But Declan touched on Sorrow there. From what we've seen of him, what do you think?
I mean, hard to give a concrete view on him because he only touched the ball a few times, but he looked tidy, he looked intelligent. He was sitting deep and disciplined, and the small contributions he had were all positive. So he's unfortunate that he's playing in an area where it's absolutely buttoned down that Brown and McGregor are going to play there all season. So he's unlikely to start many games. But the same goes for McGregor and Brown as it does Forrest. This is an unusual season in terms of fatigue. They will need rested, and hopefully he'll come in and we can see some more of him. Because it was disappointing that we shelled out £2 million 6 months ago and he made his debut tonight. You were talking about that in the transfer show, how that just doesn't favour us, that policy at all. But that 6 months is behind us now, and yeah, hopefully we can. He would have a role to play, so hopefully we'll see more of him. Yeah, hopefully we do see more of them across these friendlies because, as you say, we're going to have to use the squad this season, and there's no point in having these guys, bringing them in if you can't get to a stage, if Neil Lennon can't get to a stage where he can trust them to put them in league games where Brown and McGregor are vested or suspended or injured. We're definitely going to have to use that squad this season. Thomas is asking here, this is something that we talked about before we came on here, Declan. Is Mikey Johnson still not fit? Nowhere to be seen tonight. I don't know. I don't have information that he's injured, but he definitely wasn't involved tonight.
I find it odd. If he's travelled with the squad, I would imagine he'd have been on the bench, and he's nowhere to be seen along with Tom Rogic. So I would just assume from the lack of Rogic and Johnson on the bench that they're not fit, or that they've just not been part of the squad that have travelled. Bio was another one I never noticed to be on that bench. So there's three players that, three big players. You would consider Bio a big player with the amount of money we spent on him, just missing. So whether that's injury or I don't know, but he must be injured because I don't see why else he wouldn't be there.
Yeah, Kenny, Leon on Saturday. Do you expect Neil Lennon across these friendlies? It's an increment each game in terms of quality with Leon on Saturday and then PSG next week. So do you expect Neil Lennon to start each game with as close to full strength as possible to try and get minutes in his first choice team's legs?
I think so, and that's unusual for pre-season because you experiment and you're more relaxed, but we can't be because the league kicks off in 2 weeks and we're almost forced to play with our strongest 11. He's going to have, if we think about like process of elimination, he can't play kids against PSG. They won 10-0 or something in the row. 9-0. They beat Le Havre. I'm not missing out that way. So we'll watch that behind the couch, that game. But he'll have to play his strongest players in that game, which means in the next game, maybe he'll experiment. As Declan said, I think El Hamed's a good one to get involved. I think he's great. He fitted in brilliantly. He's a complete warrior of a man, and when push comes to shove in really tough physical games, you would rather him in the part than Frimpong, as good as Frimpong is going forward. So I would like to see El Hamed start the next game at right back and bring a bit of steel to the back line because it needed it tonight. Actually, they were at 6s and 7s at points tonight. Let's make no mistake. So I wouldn't tinker too much, but I'd be interested in seeing El Hamed.
I want to see more El Hamed. He really impressed me last season. I think he did most people. It's just that injury. That injury record is horrible. So maybe they're just nursing him back with the game time. But again, he's somebody we need to rely on. We can't not play him in fear that he gets injured. So we'll just need to see how that one goes. We will be back on Saturday with another live post-match pint. That's all we've got time for tonight. Like the video, comment with your own thoughts below. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you after Saturday's game. Cheers.